Why run wherever you are matters? Why rise at dawn and move when no one is watching? Because motion is the first act of sovereignty. In this new Wyathi essay, we explore why run wherever you are is more than exercise. It is decentralized discipline for a decentralized age. Each runner becomes a node of strength. Each mile becomes a declaration that health, character, and infrastructure begin within. Through Actuate, ACT, tokens, your effort gains economic representation. Through soulbound, Mumbi, tokens, your endurance becomes citizenship in Nyumba, Mumbi, the house without walls. What begins as breath becomes governance. What begins as sweat becomes structure. Join the movement. Run where you are. Represent yourself. Build Wahito from within. A philosophy of motion in a decentralized age. Why should anyone rise at dawn and move their body? Why should a child run in a dusty field, a young adult train through fatigue, an elder walk against stiffness and time? Because motion is life's original covenant. Run wherever you are is important precisely because it is decentralized and asynchronous. It does not wait for central command. It does not require stadiums or synchronized starting guns. It requires only breath and will. In this way, it mirrors both nature and freedom. The heart beats without committee approval. The lungs expand without government mandate. Life itself is decentralized. A Stoic would say, control what you can, your body, your discipline, your response to circumstance. Run wherever you are is applied stoicism. It is voluntary hardship chosen in order to strengthen resilience. It is training the body to endure, so the mind may govern. One of the principles of Natia teaches that motion precedes provision. The world yields to those who move within it. The child who runs builds neural architecture. The adolescent who trains builds character. The adult who persists builds stamina for responsibility. The elder who continues to walk builds dignity into aging. At every stage of life, motion delays decay and summons vitality. For the individual, daily movement reduces disease, sharpens cognition, stabilizes mood, and builds metabolic endurance. But beyond biology, it restores agency. The disciplined runner discovers a profound truth. Weakness is negotiable. Through repetition, the body adapts. Through adaptation, confidence grows. Through confidence, purpose expands. Natia reminds us that endurance precedes inheritance. A healthy body is the first inheritance we give ourselves. Relationships. In relationships, physical discipline cultivates emotional discipline. A partner who trains learns patience. A spouse who walks daily learns steadiness. Shared exertion dissolves resentment and replaces it with solidarity. When two people move together, or even share their separate runs through testimony, they construct a rhythm of mutual respect. Running refines temper. It lowers the volatility that corrodes intimacy. It becomes a shared language of growth. Families inherit habits more than wealth. When parents rise to move, children witness sovereignty in action. Family culture shifts from passive consumption to active stewardship. Health becomes a shared project rather than a reactive expense. The Natia principle of visible discipline applies here. What is practiced openly becomes normalized generationally. Running plants generational resilience. A community that moves together, though asynchronously, creates moral cohesion. Sharing stories and miles through platforms such as Facebook transforms isolated effort into visible solidarity. A farmer posting his work in the field stands beside a nurse posting her early morning run. A student walking campus trails stands beside a grandmother tending crops. When these experiences are shared publicly, community identity changes. It becomes kinetic. Health becomes aspirational rather than accidental. Communities that move reduce healthcare strain and increase economic productivity. They generate hope. A nation of disciplined citizens spends less on preventable disease and more on innovation. The Stoics taught that character determines destiny. At scale, the character of individuals shapes national trajectory. Run wherever you are cultivates citizens who practice voluntary hardship. Such citizens are less fragile, less dependent, more productive. Natia teaches that collective endurance builds collective sovereignty. A nation of runners is a nation less easily destabilized. Global health. Because the movement is decentralized, it crosses borders naturally. A runner in one country does not wait for permission from another. Yet when stories are shared across continents, a global commons of discipline emerges. Global health begins not in treaties, but in habits. When millions commit to motion, chronic disease declines. When solidarity forms across geographies, collaboration strengthens. Asynchronous movement becomes synchronous purpose. Why decentralization matters. Run wherever you are is decentralized because health cannot be centrally mandated. It must be chosen. The blockchain mirrors this truth. No single authority controls it. It is a network of independent nodes maintaining shared truth. The decentralized nature of Run wherever you are aligns perfectly with blockchain architecture. Each runner is a node. Each act of discipline is a transaction. Each shared testimony is a block added to a growing chain of trust. The importance of Actuate, ACT, and Mumbi, MUM, tokens. A blockchain without embodied culture is abstract. A movement without economic encoding is fragile. Run wherever you are gives the blockchain flesh. The blockchain gives the movement memory. Why ACT and MUM matter to the individual. The fungible Actuate Act token represents economic participation. It translates discipline into stake. The individual who runs and participates holds not only improved health, but also encoded economic alignment with shared infrastructure. The soulbound Mumbi, MUM, token represents citizenship. It cannot be traded. It cannot be speculated upon. It is earned alignment. It signifies voice in governance. Natia teaches that stewardship must follow sacrifice. MUM encodes that principle digitally, representing individual value, each individual's participation. Miles run, discipline practiced, tokens held, acquires representation. ACT reflects economic contribution. MUM reflects civic trust. The runner is no longer invisible. Effort becomes measurable, not for vanity, but for stewardship, representing family value. When families participate, their collective discipline becomes economically and civically visible. ACT holdings can reflect shared commitment. MUM citizenship embeds families into governance. Value is not extracted from them. It is expressed through them, representing community value. Communities that coordinate participation can collectively hold ACT and accumulate MUM citizenship. Their cohesion becomes encoded. Their effort becomes infrastructure. Blockchain provides a ledger of trust across geography, producing a healthy nation and global health. As participation scales, ACT becomes long-term fundraising architecture for shared projects. It represents economic sovereignty. MUM ensures governance remains in the hands of participants rather than distant authorities. Discipline becomes destiny. Nyumba ya Mumbai, the house without walls. Nyumba ya Mumbai is the civic architecture where this movement converges. It is a house without walls because its citizens are globally distributed. It is governed by those who participate, stewarded by those who endure. ACT sustains its economic foundation. MUM secures its governance integrity. Run wherever you are provides the cultural bloodstream. The blockchain provides the institutional skeleton. Without disciplined bodies, Nyumba Mumbi would be hollow. Without blockchain architecture, the movement would be ephemeral. Together they form living infrastructure. Health embodied, value encoded, citizenship practiced. Why rise and move? Because the body must be governed before a nation can be governed. Because endurance builds inheritance. Because decentralized discipline mirrors decentralized truth. Because when breath becomes motion and motion becomes solidarity, infrastructure follows. Run wherever you are is not exercise. It is civilizational preparation. Why run wherever you are is important to Wahito. Wahito One Health is not merely a construction project. It is a declaration that health, education, agriculture, and enterprise can rise from disciplined people rather than distant dependency. But architecture without culture collapses. Concrete without character cracks. This is why run wherever you are, and the blockchain architecture of Actuate, ACT, and Mumbi, MUM, tokens are indispensable to Wahito. Run wherever you are forms the moral bloodstream of Wahito. It creates the human infrastructure before the physical infrastructure. When individuals rise daily to move, whether running, tilling, herding, or walking, they cultivate the very virtues Wahito requires: endurance, responsibility, and visible discipline. A hospital dedicated to healing must be born from a culture that values health. A school must arise from families that practice effort. A One Health campus cannot depend solely on treatment. It must be sustained by prevention. Running produces a people who embody health before they receive it. The decentralized and asynchronous nature of run wherever you are mirrors Wahito's design. Wahito is local in its soil, yet global in its solidarity. Runners across continents move at different hours, yet share testimony in one narrative. In the same way, Wahito gathers dispersed goodwill into focused structure. What begins as breath in Boston, Nairobi, or Marmane becomes stone in Soren. The movement transforms scattered energy into concentrated architecture. The blockchain provides the economic and civic spine. ACT tokens convert goodwill into measurable stake. They transform participation from sentiment into structure. When someone holds ACT, they are not donating into abstraction. They are aligning their economic voice with Wahito's future. Capital becomes transparent, accountable, and borderless. The diaspora, the farmer, the student, and the physician can all participate in one ledger of trust. Tokens, being soulbound, safeguard the moral center. They encode citizenship rather than speculation. They ensure that governance of Nyumba Mumbi, the house without walls that stewards Wahito, belongs to participants, not opportunists. ACT sustains the long-term fundraising engine. MUM protects the integrity of decision-making. Together they unite value and virtue. Wahito therefore rests on three pillars: disciplined bodies, decentralized capital, and encoded citizenship. Remove any one, and the structure weakens. Keep all three, and Soren becomes more than a site. It becomes a prototype. Run wherever you are supplies the character. The blockchain supplies the continuity. Wahito becomes the visible testimony, not charity descending from above, but sovereignty rising from within. Visit Global Health Boston 2027, Actuate Biomedicine.